My name is Susan Abbott, and welcome to the Posner Center. I run a small consulting practice called Cross-Pollinate Consulting, and I'm joined here by my colleague Cynthia with International Development Enterprises. Cynthia and I are on the board here with Jamie Hansen, who runs this building. Thank you, Jamie. We just wanted to take a moment to welcome all of you and thank you for coming here and giving up part of your Thursday evening and the new year to spend this evening with us. We also just wanted to say a minute about this space. This space was started about 14 years ago. It's a co-working space, it's a collaborative. If you're looking for a space to work, if you just want to meet people, get a coffee, if you're looking for a place to have an event, we have all different types of rooms downstairs as well as upstairs. We would love to have you. And that's enough about Posner Center, but thank you for coming and being part of this. This is Analog Salon. And, we are very thankful that the snow didn't deter you. It was a very treacherous storm in the end. And I just wanted to also say that I feel like I'm at a Rock Island reunion. Class of what, 1996?
89?
89. But it's really great to...
I'm older than that. Class of 87!
Woo! Our analog salon was born some 9 months ago in this very lounge, and we invited Molly McGrath and FM and Twist and Shout, and of course Dante Dunlap and his team from CoCreate, as well as Birdie Magazine in the back with Christy and Johnny. We've since kind of grown and evolved, and we now have sponsorship from Illegal Pete's, Mad Lemon Drinks, which is a Colorado-based beverage company, and if you want the best marketing and good time and fun times, contact Max and Karina from Mad Lemon. We're really grateful for Ratio Beardworks and all of the support they provide, and I see James is here. James is providing all of our sound equipment and has given a lot of technical advice. So thank you for everyone for coming. Our DJ, Matthew Brown, or NC Matthew. Matthew runs FM on South Broadway. If you haven't been to his shop, you should go because it's really great. But we're not here just to plug all of the points of Analog Salon. Before we begin our evening, though, I did want to just make one mention about how we're kind of in a very weird space in the world right now. I don't think that it takes much elaboration for that. And our Analog Salon Collective seeks to do a few things. One is that we want to support art and culture in Denver. Yeah. All of you. Yeah. And we want to provide safe spaces, inclusive spaces to help people find each other. We started this in part because of the loneliness epidemic and a challenge that some people had in connecting. People spend an inordinate amount of time online. If you're born today, you're likely to spend between 20 and 30 years of your life online, which is a little bit sad if you think about all the things that you can enjoy that are not digital. It's not that the internet isn't great, but it's kind of too much. The other reason is acts of joy and having fun are a form of civic resistance. So we invite you to join us and have more fun in 2026. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight. Thank you all for coming out to meet Andrew Novick. Oh, I would be remiss, Andrew, if I didn't give a shout out to KGNU and Dave Ashton. They're our new partner as well. We had a wonderful radio spot on KGNU last month, so we look forward to that partnership as well. Support community media. Local media will also be a big part of getting us through the weirdness that we're in. But we are here to meet Andrew, and the format of Analog Salon is that we invite a speaker from Denver or Colorado to tell us the story of their life through 10 songs. However, Andrew, being the punk rocker he is, has to break the rules.
Yes, he did.
So we're in for a wild ride. We're in for a fun treat.
16. I was only able to whittle it down to 16.
So we like to kick things off just by having our speaker introduce themselves. So Andrew, tell us about yourself. I mean, I think most people in the room know who you are, but how do you explain who Andrew Novick is? Like, what's your elevator speech?
It's almost impossible, but like, I like when someone introduces me and then they tell somebody, like they describe me in some way, because that's a lot easier. But also I get to learn, like, what does someone think, like what is their reference point to me? Because some people I know through music, some people I know through engineering, some people I know through art, you know, so it's pretty neat. But I'll say that I was born in Denver, grew up on Colorado. I was born on Colorado Boulevard at Rose Hospital. I grew up on Colorado Boulevard, and I think just I'm a big fan of Denver, even with all the changes or whatever. I love when people come here to visit, or come, like when people move here or whatever. I know that might be controversial, but we had a great secret all these years of how cool Denver is, and like I think a lot of people know it now. But also I want to thank everyone for coming. I've seen so many great familiar faces, and just super happy to share this with everybody.
Yeah, and I've also enjoyed getting to know you through the process of like helping you figure out how to pick your songs and be part of tonight. One of the kind of introductions I learned was that you're Denver's informal nightmare.
Yes, he is.
Mayor of the evening.
How did that moniker come about?
I had heard that some city, well, I always thought like it would be, I've tried in various ways to get the word out about things happening in Denver, and I did like blogging and a website and different stuff to try to, but now there's so much stuff to do in Denver, it's hard to, it's too big of a job. But I've always thought it would be cool to get people to do stuff that they don't normally do, because people have their radius of events and places, so to expand that out. So I think it was just my love of like promoting other people's cool stuff or my own stuff, and like getting people to do stuff they haven't done. And so, but I heard that somewhere like Bangkok or somewhere had like a night mayor, and it was because the daytime mayor's got all sorts of politics to deal with and stuff, but the night mayor would be somebody who would do all the mayoral type of things, but for the nightlife and entertainment and stuff. So I was gonna run for night mayor. The position doesn't exist, but I thought it would be really fun to make campaign posters. I was like, Andrew Novick for night mayor, and I love the double entendre for nightmare also. But then we went to a Creative Mornings talk, and Stephen Brackett, a lot of people know him from Flowbots, but he's actually working with the city to come up with a position that would be what I'm calling nightmare. So it might exist. So
How many of you would vote for Andrew?
Yes.
Well, we have a lot to get through and a lot of stories. Should we play your first song?
Yeah, let's play it.
All right.
If you recognize it, raise your hand.
Have you ever seen a haunted house? You know the kind I mean. There's a high vine-covered fence around the property. Is it there to keep somebody out? Or is it there to keep something inside? One night not long ago, two teenagers were walking home from a date. It began to rain. Mike and Karen ran toward the old house, through the old iron gate, and onto the porch for protection.
Oh, Mike, look at that rain come down. We'll never get home on time.
Sure we will. It's not quite midnight.
What are you doing?
Trying to get the front door open. We can wait inside until the storm's over.
Ron Howard.
I don't see a way out. There are no doors, not even a window.
rise high over the meadow tree.
So right for the midnight free.
Creepy creepy eyes.
Start to sleep. Our life when we both start to social.
So this takes us back a few years. Why did you pick this song?
I was trying to think of what I listened to as a kid. Like, you know, we had the comedy records and, you know, like really young, before I was into music or whatever, and we had this Disney Haunted Mansion album, which is from 1969, and it's a young Ronnie Howard as the voice. But it came with a book and just the storytelling through all of the sound effects. And like, I have dozens of sound effect records. I think, you know, probably because of this, I'm interested in like recording of sounds and things. So, and then the songs on this, it's mostly, that was kind of a medley that I made of, you know, a little bit of the story and a little bit of the music, so that just so you could kind of hear it. But it just, yeah, it's like, if I hear this, even just that very first, like, you know, name that tune, like that first note or whatever, it like puts me back to being a kid. So I thought for this forum, I thought that would be great. It's like one of the earliest records I remember.
Did you play records with your family, or did you have a lounge that you kind of gathered in and would put your records on, or were you like in your room secretly listening to these records?
That was later. Like, I say as a young kid, I had a much older sister who, when she was visiting or in town, had like, so it was like her room, but otherwise it was like a guest room, and that's where the record player was. So it was like kind of a family record player. So we would listen to, like, my brother had George Carlin records and like On Top of Spaghetti, and he had a Gilda Radner album. And like, too young to be listening to these adult, like, of course my brother was really into all the cussing and stuff. But Robin Williams, we had a Robin, so that was really, we did sit around together as a family and like, you know, listen to.
But it is interesting because in those moments, kids didn't really differentiate between adult entertainment and kid entertainment. Like, we kind of watched everything.
Yeah, no, that's true. We grew up, we watched that Saturday Night Live, or like if you were lucky to have a friend who had HBO, and like there might be some like adult themes happening there or whatever. Like, yeah, it was kind of no holds barred. I guess it's even more no holds barred now with the internet. You can see whatever you want. You can hear
and
cussing.
Everything's so micro-targeted to kiddos, right? Whereas you kind of had to seek things out and discover them, it seems.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
the next song seems to be maybe, is this also from this period of kind of gathering around and finding things in your house? Or what about this song?
This is interesting. So I had a friend across the street who lived across the street from me, and he was older. So probably like 5 or 6 years older, like considerably older. But like a lot of my upbringing as like latchkey kids, like you're just hanging around in the neighborhood, right? So this neighbor of mine, he used to teach me how to tie like flies and like put together like a fishing rods with like the order of all the reflectors and all the stuff. He introduced me to fireworks, but he played music for me, and so like this record is a record that he played for me, and it was TV show themes, specifically cop show themes. So I think I have that. I'll pull it out. And growing up with, you know, Bionic Man, Bionic Woman, SWAT, and then like also shows my parents watched, like Streets of San Francisco is on this record and stuff. So and so I just like, when I would go over there, like, can we play the record? So like eventually he gave me the record, like, so I have it now. So
should we hear a bit of it?
Yeah, let's hear it. I'll look for it. This is the SWAT theme, played by Henry Mancini. So this is Henry Mancini's versions of these. And something cool, so I grew up with Henry Mancini, I think because my mom liked him. And so, like, we would listen to, like, Henry Mancini records, and, like, he did a lot of soundtracks and different things. And, of course, Pink Panther. You know, I loved the Pink Panther movies for the very physical humor. And probably because of something like this, where he did his kind of funked up versions of these.
When you got this, were you a kid? This particular album?
Yeah, so this was the actual one that my neighbor gave me.
What
so
did you think of? I mean, as a kid, that's a pretty provocative.
Oh, not at all. Like, as kids, we played guns, we played war. That SWAT theme, like, we watched SWAT, the TV show, and we played SWAT. Did anyone here play SWAT?
A-cap. That's all I gotta say.
You know, because they were the original parkour, right? They would, like, jump through windows and, like, fall off of buildings and rappel down stuff. And so we would be out in the yard playing guns, playing stuff. So guns were not, like, growing up in the 70s, guns were just part of movies. I mean, it was, I mean, you think of it, it's like, it's violence and you're shooting people, but, like, we didn't all turn out to be murderers, you know? Like,
did you have underoos as well? Like, were you of this generation that played, like, role playing and, like, in the streets being your favorite super friends?
Underoos, like the underwear?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I was maybe like a year too old for underoos or something. Maybe I was, but yeah, we played all sorts of stuff like that, and you know, and the first wave of Dungeons and Dragons, which was super satanic, you know, like we were part of that era that just, none of the stuff seemed bad, and we wondered why culturally people like.
And where were you? You were in Denver, right?
Yeah. I mean, my mom still lives at the house I grew up at, Hamden and Colorado Boulevard.
Which seems to have been a very formative location for you in some ways.
Yeah, and we rode our dirt bikes after school. Also, I want to shout out. So I've been to this series twice, the last 2 months, and shout out to Dave Ashton from KGNU, because the first one I saw, Simon Shackleton, who's here, but Dave actually held up the records that we were playing. So I stole that idea from Dave. So thanks, Dave. I think it's cool because listening to records. I mean, what did you do while listening to records? You sat there and you stared at this. You looked at this frontwards and backwards and the liner notes and stuff. Like, we stared at that for listening to the whole record, you know, like, so I think having the sleeves, and then of course when CDs came out, we were bummed out about how small the artwork was. It's like, we want the artwork from the record sized things and stuff. So I think having the records is really cool. I'm glad to be able to show them like that.
It's kind of remarkable that you still have records from your early childhood.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened. I think my brother probably, that's why I had to print this out, because I think my brother must have that Haunted Mansion. I might have to buy it on eBay just so I can have it.
Well, from cop shows to other themes, your next song kind of takes on a different dimension, but certainly for kids of the 70s and 80s, this one will hit home. Important part. I think we can sing along. That's nothing like nostalgia, is there?
Yeah, totally. So this one was tough because the record I really wanted to talk about, which was one of my first records that I actually bought, and I actually co-bought this, but it's Kiss Rock and Roll Over. But there's really no good songs on it. Like, there was nothing I wanted to play from this. But this record is so significant because, so my brother and I were really into Kiss, mostly because of the antics and the graphics. And this record, I don't know if anyone has this record, but, oh, it's got like a merch sheet. But it comes with a sticker of the record cover, and it's like die cut for the individual sections. And my brother and I chipped in together to buy this, and we were gonna split up the sticker. Like he was gonna pick Gene Simmons, I knew that, and then I would pick Peter Criss, and then so we were gonna divide it up. So we actually split our allowance or whatever to buy this record, and but somehow we never split up the sticker, and I still have the record. So somehow, and so the reason why I picked Rock and Roll All Night, not the best Kiss song, but my history with that song is that, so my band starting in '87 was Warlock Pictures, and we played Rock and Roll All Night live. There again, not because it was the best Kiss song, but it was because it was the recognizable and the audience participation, and it's an anthem, it's a chant, and everyone can sing along. And I remember shows like 1987, 88, where people got on stage and were singing with us, and we're all like, chanting it out. So this was a combined like record sleeve, but a different song. But
would your young, rebellious, kind of cool kid self have imagined Kiss evolving the way they did?
No, definitely not. Not the recent. I mean, when they took off the makeup too, like we were so into the gimmicks and the trading cards and the comic and the Kiss comic that used Kiss members' real blood in the ink. And they actually, I researched this recently because I was like, did I make that up? Is that like, and sure enough, they actually had a notary public show up to where they took their blood and they poured it. They were at the factory, the comic book printing factory, and they actually poured their blood into the red ink.
Wow.
So it seems legit. I don't know, but I think also Warlock Pictures was all about the gimmicks more than even the music, and it was about the audience and the like participation and the stuff. So it was like, I think we stole a lot from Kiss.
What about the Satanism?
There again, I have to hand it to my parents for not freaking out about stuff, because it was like Dungeons and Dragons. There's articles in the newspaper about how kids are like in tunnels disappearing, and like killing each other or whatever. And like Kiss, if you're a parent, that's got to be scary I was like 8 when this record came out. So like we were really young, but it was like, that generation, I guess, I don't know, we somehow
You seem to turn out okay.
Yeah, I hope, I guess,
Well, we have a number of songs to get through, so the next song I've been wanting to ask you, is this a childhood crush, or is there another story as to why you picked the song?
Yes, I would say in a lot of ways, like, so this next song, we'll talk about it first, I guess, because we haven't done that, but, so Pat Benatar, Heartbreaker, yeah, like, it's especially for that time, it was a heavy song, so like, it was me getting into heavy, because Kiss is, like, as cool as Kiss looks, they were not heavy. Like, Kiss is very weak as a, sounding, but like, I thought Heartbreaker was heavy. I love the female vocals, and I still, all through my history, I've loved like female vocals and a strong female vocalist, and I'm sure that I had a crush on Pat Benatar. But yeah, so maybe this was my first kind of coming of age, like kind of thoughts in my head or something. But yeah, I think it rocks.
How did you discover Pat Benatar?
Man, I feel like I was in, what year did this came out in? 1979. So I guess I was in elementary school. I have no idea.
Were you a radio listener?
Oh yeah, okay. So yes. We're going to talk about radio later. But I will say, I was addicted to Casey Kasem's Top 40. Yeah. Right, and we'll talk about Casey Kasem a little bit later. But I will say this. So this song, it wasn't like this was underground. This song, Heartbreaker, was number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100. It wasn't like I was finding something like rare and underground. So maybe Casey Kasem played it for me.
Should we hear it? Yeah.
I think she said it right there. She released my inner fantasies. We figured it out right here in front of everybody.
Did you lip sync?
Yeah, you know, I was in elementary school, I was in a lip sync band for like talent day. You know, like, so we played REO Speedwagon. And we did Cool in the Gang, Celebration. So I think I played air guitar or tennis racket guitar for REO Speedwagon, and then I was the keyboardist, the air keyboardist for the Cool in the Gang.
Well, and then you got cool, it seems, by judging by the next run of songs. And because you have so many, I'm going to kind of let you dictate the flow of songs, and you'll kind of do a quick kind of hustle through.
Okay, so the next one is The Residents. And this album in particular might be my first Residents album. So there was a show in Denver out of Broomfield called FM Television on KBDI, and it was the precursor to Teletoons, and it actually predated MTV, and they played the weirdest, they played whatever was on music videos, so it wasn't necessarily underground. I mean, they played Queen, because Queen had videos, and or, you know, Madonna or whatever, like anyone. So this was 1980, 81, but they played the Residents 1-minute movies, which were songs from this record. This record's got 40 songs on it, and they're all exactly 1 minute long, and it's called Commercial Album because they're kind of like commercial jingles in the bizarre world of the Residents. They would not be good for commercials probably, but their idea is like, hey, top 40, here's 40 songs, so here's our top 40, and their idea for pop music was there's only really 1 minute of content in a 3-minute pop song. So they just did the 1 minute. And they said there is like in the liner notes, they said you can just play the song 3 times in a row, and then now you have a pop song. And so this is just one, this is called Easter Woman. It was one of the ones they had a video for.
Do you want to go back to this period of Denver? Because it seems cool. I mean, it was cool, but there were all these kind of eccentric, artistic people who just created these amazing ideas and made them happen on public access TV.
Oh yeah, I think like public access was like they also had a show called Home Movies. And people could just submit their movie. They play anything. I mean, it was crazy. I guess that's YouTube now. You could find there again. You could put everything weird now.
But it's different when it's curated by someone local, right?
Yeah, yeah. And they were teaching us about music. I mean, it was.
Oh, that's nice.
Anything that I think about, my brother and I will send each other videos of Snake Finger or Moon Martin or the Motels, and it's like anyone who had a video they would play. So even Dire Straits. You know, I'm not. Like, Dire Straits is not my style of music, but the songs that they had videos for on FMTV, I still like those songs. So.
And is the next song also from FMTV, or is this from MTV?
This is probably FMTV played this. I was a huge Clash fan, and yeah, let's hear it for the Clash. And like really all eras, like, you know, I had a cassette of Combat Rock, which when we would go skiing, like family skiing, I had like a not name brand Walkman, and listened to Combat Rock like over and over all day. And I was trying to think like what's a good Clash? I mean, there's a million good Clash songs. So what do you pick? But I think I bought this one because this was a 12-inch single, so it was cheaper. It's probably like $5 or something. And like back then, it's like you're saving up your allowance to buy records. Like I still, to this day, have never bought the Sandinista album because it's a triple record and it was just too expensive. Like I spent enough of my money on London Calling, which was a double album. So, but this is Radio Clash.
All programs. This is Radio Clash on Pirate Satellite. Orbiting your living, cashing the bill of rights. Cuban army surplus or refusing of the lights. This is Radio Clash on Pirate Satellite.
What's remarkable about this song is how timeless it is. Like if you didn't know it was from 1981, you'd think it's pretty fresh. But also, did the Clash impact your interest in forming a band?
Probably. They probably really helped my interest in kind of like punk and punk ideas and punk values and also just their wide use of instruments. I mean, like the first Clash album is. Even that whole album is not really that heavy, you know. Like we have something like White Riot, which is like that's a slam dance song or whatever. But like they were always experimenting with different styles of music and different instrumentation and like you know, part of like early hip hop. And you hear, that's why like one of the reasons I picked this is that you hear some of the sounds and the samples and that they weren't a hardcore punk band at all. I mean they really were wide in the way that they.
But did you like them for the music or for the politics or the ideology or things you associated with it, or were you just too young to kind of think in those terms?
No, I liked them a lot for the lyrics and the ideology, and I think there again, I mean, it was like there's a song about birth control, you know, like with my mom. It was one of these kind of rare times, but my mom, she was like wanted to get involved, and she was like, hey, like what are you listening to? Whatever. She sat down with me and we listened to the entire London Calling record. And it's like, but there's a one song that's like this birth control was like, she forgot that thing that she had to swallow. And so it was like, I was like, oh man, I'm getting embarrassed listening to this with my mom, you know? But not because it's like punk, it was because it was like a more like an adult theme.
But it sounds like you have a pretty cool mom.
Oh no, my mom is really cool.
Was she a big influence on your life?
Yeah, I mean, my mom definitely. My dad was an entrepreneur and businessman, and like he was not around as much. So I'd say my mom. My brother was more akin with my dad, and they loved cussing and like, you know, like potty humor and stuff. So I was like not on that side of it. So I think I was more akin with my mom.
Did your mom like the next song?
I don't know. I'm not sure if she knew it.
This one's a slightly unexpected one. Did you hear it on the FM TV thing?
Probably.
Or was this from just school?
Yeah, so probably. So I was a pretty early Bananarama fan. My very first job was I worked at IHOP when I was 14. I used to ride my moped to IHOP, and so I can literally picture myself in the kitchen at IHOP when this Bananarama album came out. But this is a combined song between Fun Boy 3 and Bananarama. And Fun Boy 3 came out of the specials and the two-tone ska kind of stuff. And so it was like, so probably this was the first, this or the other one with Bananarama was the first Bananarama and Fun Boy 3 song that I heard. crazy thing is this song is on both of these records. It was a collaboration between Bananarama and Funboy 3, and they both put it on the record. I mean, how cool, that's a kind of a rare
They were
thing
really
too.
cool though, right?
Yeah,
Like
it was really cool.
Bananarama was like a really big deal, and I don't know, in America, like it just kind of took over imaginations and set the bar.
Yeah, and I think too, like these are British bands that we thought like we're cool, underground, whatever, but these are top 20 songs in the UK. I mean, so it was rarer for us, I think, in America and underground, and we're cool, and we're like, but this is this popular music in England.
Well, your next song continues on the popular British band Wave, New Wave.
Love me, so I don't understand why promises are snapped into words that make you bad. Bigger, better, some stolen from Japan, collected from around the world, make sure they can.
I'm trying to imagine a new wave Andrew Novick like dancing and spinning around.
Showing the back of the record.
Did you have this hair?
Yeah, actually, I stole my haircut from Tom Bailey. I had a rat tail in 7th grade, and dyed hair, colored hair. I remember my mom took me to a cool like new wave hair salon called Flamingo when I got my rat tail.
Where was Flamenco?
At that time, it was South Broadway, next to Rudely Decadent, which is where all the slightly older than me people, like punk and new wave kids, got there. Before Fashion Disaster was Rudely Decadent, and later, I mean, the kind of ology of this Rudely Decadent, and then Fashion Disaster, Fashionation. But then the guy who ran Really Decadent is Ronnie what? Ronnie Crawford, who later had American Aces and American Vogue. So he went kind of into the rockabilly. But yeah, I mean, we have him to thank for like the kind of the kids that was like 2 years older than me that were all the cool new wave people. Was
Denver, we had a bunch of destination places, like Wax Tracks being one, Fashion Nation, gathering around, and I'm wondering for your next kind of run of songs, these are not Casey Kasem songs. These are different songs.
Yeah, I've definitely switched. And one thing I'll say about Thompson Twins, it was my absolute favorite band in high school. Like 100%. Like my friend and I joined the British fan club. Like we were ordering stuff from overseas. It's like expensive, and you had to like convert to pounds to like figure out and send them like international mail order coupons and stuff to buy stuff. But saw them a bunch of times. And this is one kind of like the Clash, where I got into it in the middle, and kept up with it going forwards, but also went to their back catalog, and like I've went back to Thompson Twins, their British only records that I think I have it in that. I have a bin of records in there that didn't make the cut for these, but I just brought them so people could look through, and also some fun, goofy ones.
Were they a kind of gateway band for you that introduced you to other kind of cool artists?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, part of that British wave, and also just this new wave and keyboard based, and actually, I'm very funk actually, like very heavy in the bass, which I never really thought of it that way. But yeah, just got to meet them and like got autographs, and yeah, just. Yes, it was a big part of that couple-year era.
Well, shall we kind of shock our ears and move to the next song?
Yeah, let me give a precursor, I guess. So this is Cabaret Voltaire, which I think I got into them a little bit later than what we're going to hear, but like in this dance, British dance wave, dance music with Sensoria and Do Right, and but I instantly went backwards with them, and like I started listening to their super experimental, super noisy stuff. So that's what we're playing here is something called Photophobia from Mix Up.
Though not making marriage, you can do science and relatives. One day you see a great arsehole and shit on it.
So I mean, this is moody and bizarre and cool, but they're also using. I mean, they're using some typical. They have horns in this and stuff, but they're using musical instruments in a different ways than the bands before them. So I think that experimental thing, and they had experimental videos that went along with it, and that. So and actually, I got. I mean, I don't think you could really get these kind of videos for this era of Cabaret Voltaire, except for there was a store called Across the Tracks, which was across the street from Wax Tracks, and that was their t-shirts and videos, and you could rent. So I actually rented this Cabaret Voltaire video from the UK. I had to get some kind of PAL transfer, whatever, copy, but where it was just like the cool, weird, just, I mean, that was, to me, that was industrial. It was like just them shooting black and white videos, walking around in Sheffield, you know, like.
Were you in high school, or is this already at university?
This is in high school, yeah.
Did it, I mean, people, you may have noticed like different images of it. Did this kind of start your association with We Never Sleep and Psychic TV, or does that come later?
I would say that this kind of started that, like, you know, getting, like, being into really dancey new wave stuff, but then hearing this kind of stuff, which still has some beats to it, but it's just weird, and you know, is it music? And I was into, like, you know, experimental industrial, not industrial dance, but industrial stuff that was just like, there was a band called Controlled Bleeding, and that's the true party killer music. Like if you put that, it sounds like TV static. And I would play that in my room, and like my brother is like trying to sleep or something. He's like, "What the fuck are you playing in here?" You know, it's like, and I would say too, like in the industrial stuff, it was like a lot of stuff was not. That was pretty hard to find, and like you would get a compilation, and so compilations you'd find like there'd be one song on there that you really liked, and you would try to look at, you know, find that artist. And there's no internet, you know. This is like 1985, 86.
But can you give like folks in the room, especially who aren't, what was Denver like in 1985, and what was the music scene like, and these people you were meeting and kind of exchanging records and songs with?
Denver was industrial, kind of like, I mean, it's like, yeah, we had our malls, we had our suburbs and stuff, but like you'd go downtown and all the viaducts over I-25, which is where Rock Island was under a viaduct, and there was like seedy stuff that happened under the viaducts, and like industrial bands like banging on metal, and the Haters, that's another We Never Sleep thing, performance art / music / industrial, and it was like, that was really, I mean, Denver had lots of pockets like that, and it was like you had to kind of know where to go.
It's kind of weird how many of them ended up here or had a stint, like a passing through or a period here before they went on to why was that? Like, what did they like about Denver?
Yeah, I feel like Denver, it was not commercialized, and nobody knew about it. You know, like you've seen movies with New York, LA, San Francisco, TV shows, movies, like, and I mean, nobody knew anything about Columbus, Ohio, right? Like those were like Midwest, but Denver had this kind of national things where people knew Denver, but they didn't know what it was. So I think when people come to Denver, they're like, oh wow, there's this really interesting stuff here. I don't know. It's hard to say because I'm probably too close to it.
Denver seems cooler then than it is now, though.
In a lot of ways,
Maybe
I guess.
maybe I'm just too old now.
Yeah. I mean, we have that reminiscence, right? Like.
But Colfax in particular, like East Colfax and all of these different nooks and crannies that people would have hung out at, and some of these artists, like you kind of had to know they were there, but once you knew, you found all these people.
Yeah, and Wax Trax was big help for that. But also, I was a bus rider as a kid. You know, our parents would throw us on the bus on Colorado Boulevard, and we'd go to Celebrity Sports Center. You know, really young. Like crazy how young we were. And then, you know, getting a little bit older, we take the bus to downtown. You know, you take the 40 up Colorado to Colfax, and then you get on the 15. So we're like 14 years old on the 15 bus. You know, going down to downtown and 16th Street Mall and stuff like so. So I think like growing up, even though growing up in the kind of the suburbs, but having access and being like a latchkey kid where you just go do whatever. You know, my parents were glad that I took the bus because then they had to give me a ride somewhere. You know, so I think it was, but yeah, finding these pockets and these, you know, and then you downtown, you're out of your school friends, you're out of your neighborhood friends that you grew up with. And you see someone riding a skateboard or some kid with a leather jacket, whatever, and you're like, hey, where are you going, or whatever. It's like, it was like this camaraderie. You could just meet somebody just from walking up the street because you had like you know.
Did you meet one of these people wearing a Bauhaus shirt by chance?
Probably.
Should we hear?
Oh yeah, we should go. Yeah, we should move to that. Yeah, let's do it. That takes me back to like a really specific time, like, because, and so, you know, so obviously I wasn't in any one scene. I think that, you know, like, I wasn't in the punk scene, I wasn't in the new wave scene, I wasn't in the metal scene. It was like, I had kind of friends in all these different things, but like, listening to this kind of era of Bauhaus and just, you know, sitting around. I never smoked, but everyone around me smoked. So we're sitting around like smoking cigarettes and like thinking about like, and this is death rock. This is before goth was a term. We envisioned being like a gang, or like the Denver Death Rockers, and like our girlfriends were from Douglas County, so they were the Douglas County Death Rockers, and so we were, you know, and like we're gonna like be tough and with eyeliner and, you know, like defend ourselves from, you know, so, but like, and you see Mariah here, like Mariah and I we're from kind of two slightly different eras, and so she has all her Bauhaus songs that she likes, and I have mine, and like, she's like, oh, those are the noisier ones, and she likes the ones that more focus on like the Peter Murphy's like voice, and I like the ones with the kind of scratchy guitars and stuff like that. So it's like we come from the same kind of music but different songs, you know.
Did you go clubbing? Were you part of the all-age clubbing
Oh yeah,
crowd?
yeah, definitely in the you know, Rock Island, Pogo's was. So I was old enough to be in the 3-2 bar, the 18 and over bars. If you're born before like 1971 or something, I think. So they had 3-2 beer, and like Thirsties was one right by where Ball Arena is now, and so there was the 3-2 bars, 3.2% alcohol beer, so low alcohol, and then there was teen clubs, and so I think there was more teen clubs in the 90s. So even though I was like of age, I was still going to the teen clubs because that's where all the cool people were. And that was like that next generation of people. And so Ground Zero, Club NXS, Club LA,
Deadbeat.
Deadbeat Club.
And there's nothing cooler than going to 88th and Wadsworth to go clubbing.
Yeah, exactly.
64th and Wadsworth.
Oh, 64th. Okay,
64th.
you even remember.
Yeah, Mariah was part of that, the Club LA.
But are these the years that led up to your band then?
Yeah, so now we're getting to, well, that Bauhaus was still high school. But now, okay, so next song is like, now 87, I'm in college, I've met these guys who were starting to be in a band, and now I'm getting different types of music influences. And so this next song, Butthole Surfers, I was listening to this at the exact same time I was listening to Tiffany, because I was really interested into pop music and like the fact that Tiffany played in malls, and I love malls, right? So like, but like, so the dichotomy between, and so I picked Butthole Surfers instead of Tiffany. But ironically, I just found out like a week ago that in the new season of Stranger Things, which really follows the music of the era of these kids, in the new season, Butthole Surfers, this song, and Tiffany are both in the new, so like, I am Stranger Things. Like that was, we were the kids riding our bikes around.
Did this song just make your ears really happy when you heard it?
Yeah, I think that, Butthole Surfers and then Butthole Surfers Live, which were two totally pretty different things, which is also like how Warlock Pinchers, it was like live, it was 90% antics and bizarre, and they're all tripping on acid or stoned or whatever, like, and they're showing these like films, and not even just weird films, but they would have multiple projectors showing films overlapping. So there's like people playing tennis in their tennis shorts and stuff, and then like penis surgery, like overlapping. So you're like, I don't know what is going on in my mind right now. Like, so I think that kind of a thing, it was like inspiring that like anyone could be in a band. It was like you just get up on stage and like people watch you. It's like there's like this like kind of a thing, and whether they like you or they hate you, you're on the stage, so they kind of have to watch. Because you can do whatever you want, So like that's what our band was based on. And it was like but we played with Butthole Surfers in 1988, and the Glenn Miller Ballroom, and like people just lost their minds. It was like we were weird enough, but in a very different way. We were playing Tiffany songs. We had this giant Tiffany head with the eyes cut out, shooting silly string out the eyes and stuff. So people's like LSD is just turning to set in for the show. It was Halloween night, 1988. Like, and we blew our own minds. Whoa, there's 1,000 people. We're just these young kids. Like we're playing in front of 1,000 people. Like that it blew our minds.
How many of you have been to a Warlock Pinchers show?
I was at that show.
Oh wow, you were at that show, yes.
It was a really kind of remarkable thing, like for high school students that kind of, snuck out and went to your shows or just showed up. I think it also just enabled people to be weird and go crazy and be kind of irreverent.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you were a role model?
Oh, I definitely did not think so then, but like in the last 10 years, or maybe 15 years, I've met a lot of people who, because we were never huge, right? We were pretty big in Denver, but we weren't a huge band. But like people in bands listen to our band. And so like I've learned stuff like Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit was a huge Whirleye Pincher fan in high school. He's like, your album Circus-Sized Peanuts got me through high school. You know? And like Rage Against the Machine, Marilyn Manson, Helmet. Like I've met all these people and are like, oh yeah, we loved you guys in high school. Like, so it's just like that one generation later, people who later, so I would like to think, I mean, we were definitely not musical role models because of music, but we were, I think kids would see us play and they're like, yeah, just like we said with Butthole Surfers, is like, if these guys can get up and do that and they have no musical talent whatsoever, like I could be in a band, you know? And it wasn't that so you don't have to sit in your basement for 20 years perfecting Stairway to Heaven. You just get on stage and go nuts. And like.
And this next song, was this part of this era of going nuts for you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Shall we go nuts?
Let's go nuts in 1988. My metal phase, which I didn't really have a metal phase.
You all to thrash in unison. I have to say this was a slightly unexpected song on your song list.
Yeah, I think that it was, I mean, I first heard Slayer probably the previous album to this, so like Raining Blood and maybe War Ensemble and like, but so I tapped into Slayer right before this album came out. So this is 1988. I heard, I think it was the kind of thing where I felt like I was current, right? I was like, I heard this band and I'm gonna get their new record. Whereas a lot of these things were out for a long time before I heard them. You know, like I wasn't current in things. Butthole Surfers was like on their third album, Cabaret Voltaire, Thompson Twins. So it was like, so I feel like I got into Slayer right when they kind of invented thrash metal, which was punk metal kind of. And so I went to the Rainbow Music Hall, which was like the absolute coolest venue on Evans, not far from where I grew up. My mom would drop me off at the Rainbow Music Hall because it was literally like 6 minutes from our house. And then after the show, I'd just go over to the Wendy's and call her on the payphone and she'd come pick me up. So it was like, so I was able to go do stuff like by myself. So I went and saw, this album came out and then Slayer played in Denver a month later. And so, that guitar at the beginning, nobody was on stage yet. And the guitars were playing and it was just like kind of a looping thing. And I was like, got chills. I was like, wow, I'm experiencing the forefront of this kind of genre of metal. And all the satanic parts of it, which are great, like super satanic, super, you know, like altar of sacrifice and like all of these super satanic songs, which was a big influence. Whirleye Pinchers had lots of like, we were silly satanic, you know, like people were kind of scared of Slayer, but our songs, although people were scared of our songs like parents, but if kids who listen to it, they're like these guys are just chanting Satan, you know, like for fun. So we were part of the fun Satanism.
I mean, it is interesting to look back at the late 80s as that time when we had, you know, parent advisory, like labels put on things and just how like the uproar over that particular music scene was very profound.
Yeah, we sent our first record to Tipper Gore. And we glued a bunch of porn to it. And we're just like, we're gonna get sued, we're gonna get in the, you know, Tipper Gore's gonna hate us or whatever. Of course we never heard
She never wrote back. Okay, we're gonna do a speed round till we get to like the ultimate song number 16.
Okay.
So Tell us about this next.
So people like, maybe ironically, maybe not, but we're really into ABBA. And so people like We Never Sleep folks and stuff, like they kind of turned me on to ABBA. But I got super into Frida, who was one of the members of ABBA. And like this song in particular, it's like, if I was on a desert island and I could only listen to one song, this would be the song.
This is it. I just want you to know how many people are lip syncing to this song right now.
That's awesome. So this to me is in the same category as Pat Benatar. Like ABBA was very harmonic and very, sing-songy, I guess. But this, and I had no idea at the time, but like Phil Collins produced this record, and Phil Collins is playing the drums. And I was not a Phil Collins fan. Like he was kind of square, right? But like, but yeah, to me it's like this heavy drums and the processed vocals, like the Pat Benatar. It just captured me, and I didn't really think of the desert island thing except for I made a cassette of this song over and over, the whole side of the cassette, and I used to listen to it in my car. So I created the desert island where this was the only song I could listen to. So I guess.
So we'll talk about that during the Q&A, but. Take us to the last two songs before number 16.
Okay, so I think what we're getting to now is, yes, if I'm listening to a song, a cassette of one song over and over, like I am somewhat disillusioned with music, I think. When Simon Shackleton did his talk here, he said like the quest for music ends at 33. Am I getting that right?
That's right.
Okay, so. But here, I think I was like 23. And I was like, I had heard all of the music that I wanted to hear, I felt like. And maybe I was rebelling. So I went into a talk radio phase. And I used to go to sleep listening to Art Bell. Coast to Coast AM, where people are talking about conspiracies and aliens. Back when conspiracies were cool, not like QAnon, but like, and so... Yeah, so let's do the next one. This is the intro to the Art Bell show.
Welcome to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time.
Frida.
Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from April 9th, 1996.
From the high desert in the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening and good morning. From the Tahitian and Hawaiian Islands in the west, to the Caribbean and the U.S. Virgin Islands, east, south, into Hammock Country, I call it now, Belize, and farther south into South America, north to the pole.
So this is the 90s, and like I listened to Peter Boyles in the morning, I listened to Tom Martino, I listened to the OJ trial, which went on for months. I was listening to radio, but it was talking. So I don't have any explanation for this, but I was like, I want to talk to this audience about like my disillusion with music, and I was listening to talk radio. But then of course talk radio has this bumper music, and even like Rush Limbaugh had a Pretenders song, which I know they were not thrilled with that, but like. So I was like, okay, I want to play the Art Bell. So I look it up, and I was like, oh wow, that music is from the Midnight Express soundtrack, which I actually have this record. Like I did not know that that's what I was listening to. So kind of a interesting. So this whole process has been really fascinating for me. So Midnight Express, if anyone's seen that movie, it's like this guy smuggles drugs and goes to a Turkish prison. I mean, it was like, if you already didn't think that smuggling drugs overseas was a bad idea, like now, you see this movie, like you definitely will not smuggle drugs. But the music was, it's not, that could have been metal, right? Like, could have been industrial, like that soundtrack. But no, this is disco. This this came from the guy's name, Giorgio Moroder, which I also didn't know, but like, he did Donna Summer music, and like the director making this movie, he hired him. He's like, make some music for our movie that's like this Donna Summer stuff. So I don't know. There was a dichotomy there. That's like.
Did it make you want to have your own talk show?
It made me want to call in talk radio, which I have cassette tapes of me calling talk radio. It's called Andrew in Denver, and it's like, hey, Andrew in Denver, and I'd be like, Peter Boyles, I want to ask you. So I was listening, and I also had a country music phase. I didn't bring it here, but I was listening to. Mariah does not like this, but I was like. I think my tape player in my car was broken. And so I was listening to radio, but like tuning, like back when we tuned a knob for radio, and that might have even been broken. It's like hard to do. So I put it on Big Dog Real Country, and I left it on there for months or maybe even years. And I got not all the songs, but I got into some of the songs. And I learned about Chris Ledoux, which was like a rodeo country music guy. And I listened to it last night, and like those songs, I was singing. I knew all the words. I was singing along. I cried in one of the songs. It's like and so it was like, so yes, I was doing it ironically. Like Tiffany, I listened to ironically, probably ABBA, definitely the country music. But what I learned is, ironically or not, familiarity is that breeds likeness.
And you were saying that you can like anything. Like you hear it enough, and you hear it over and over and over again.
So I think the repetitiveness, which is what pop radio is all about, and all the songs are very repetitive, and but also, you could force yourself to like anything if you want to.
Nope.
Well,
And like I call it the second album syndrome. So you buy an album of a band that you really like, and their next record comes out, and when you first listen to it, a lot of times you're like, I don't know, but you give it a chance because you like this band and you want to like it, and you listen to it, and had you heard that album first, you might not have even liked that band, because bands evolve and they change, and like you sometimes rebel, but like you're giving something more of a chance than you would have. And so if I sit there and listen to the entire Tiffany album over and over, I liked it. And it wasn't, ironically, I liked the pop nature of it, but at some point I knew all the words. I'm feeling the emotion of the lyrics of the teenage girl talking about the boy or whatever. It was like, and that's what music does. So it's like,
music and understanding.
Yeah. So I think that, that's a part of, we like what we want to like, or we like what our older sibling likes.
However, I have a feeling like the genesis of the next song, there's a particular character in one of your songs that I feel like if you listened to Morrissey over and over again, you still wouldn't like it.
That's true. That's true. I was actually on a radio podcast called Convince Me to Like This Band, and they found a super duper Morrissey fan. This guy, he's a Latino guy who's in a Morrissey tribute band in San Diego, and then they found a Morrissey hater. And this podcast, it was the lover of the band has to convince the hater of the band, like, can he convince you to like this band? And so I listened to every Morrissey record because it was part of the project. So I did not end up liking Morrissey in the least. So, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to like Morrissey. So I think that's what's important. Oh my gosh, we're
over time, but we have a couple songs to go, right?
Just one.
Should we hear it?
Let me give you the background on it. So I said that I grew up listening to Casey Kasem Top 40, and I had a cassette player ready to go, like play, record, pause, and then I would record. I'd hear a song come up that I liked, and this is back when you could call a radio station and request a song. You couldn't just hear a song. You couldn't just punch it, dial it up on YouTube. It's like you had to wait till it came on. And so I would record Casey Kasem Top 40. So Casey Kasem was really like my early music kind of forefather, you know. But then also Casey Kasem was the voice of cartoons. So Shaggy from Scooby-Doo was Casey Kasem. He did lots of voices. He did Robin in Batman and Robin. So Casey Kasem is like into my kind of childhood and pop music. And then in my band, my name was Casey Kasem, but it was K-C, K-S-U-M. So I spelled it differently, but I was Casey Kasem. But I was also really into the Carpenters. Also from this ironic thing that ends up being like Karen Carpenter's got the absolute 100% best voice of any female singer, like just hands down. And so at some point, someone in some interview, like Warlock Pincher's like, what's the KC stand for? Because it was really just a play on Casey Kasem, but I was like, stands for Karen Carpenter. So it was like one of those things that you create the lore off the cuff, you know. And so my name was now Karen Carpenter Kasem, and I was into Carpenter. So for the Warlock Pincher, this is the one reference to Warlock Pincher we're going to hear today. This is the last, but Circusized Peanuts, and so we learned a lot from like Butthole Surfers and other bands, even Kiss, you know, Detroit Rock City. The first like 2 minutes. Luckily, I drank all this coffee already. The first 2 minutes of Detroit Rock City is someone getting in a car and tuning the radio, and then Detroit Rock City comes on the radio in the car. And so it's like, I think that, so what Warlock Pinchers, we put like stupid stuff between every song. Just totally disrupting the whole idea. This is a Casey Kasem, I took a clip from Casey Kasem Top 40, and then I took a clip of me that I just found randomly on my computer where it was like, Karen Carpenter Kasem, because there was a band in the 90s that asked if I could do an intro for a radio. That band from out of town, they're like, hey, Casey Kasem, can you introduce our song? So I made a recording. So that's on here. And then, so something I did for in between songs for this record, I took, we found in the tape trading days of the 90s, we found and we would find weird stuff. And somebody sent a copy of Casey Kasem cussing. Yeah. Which is like, Casey Kasem is the voice of the top 40 in the generation, but what we learned is he is a foul-mouthed, like, asshole. And he's horrible. But they just let it, he's recording these long-distance dedications or whatever, and like, but they just let it roll. So like, they do hundreds of takes to get the take. So I'm listening to Casey Kasem, my childhood, the voice in my head, and he's talking about like, someone's like, there's someone like doing a long distance dedication to a dog named Snuggles. Like, what the fuck is that? We're doing a goddamn long distance dedication to a goddamn dead dog, and like, I'm like, this is blowing my mind. So I took, for an in between thing, I took Karen Carpenter and Casey Kasem and made like a mashup. So that's what we're gonna listen to here. Last song.
Reaching for the stars, and keep your radio tuned right where it is.
This is Casey Kasem, not that Casey Kasem, but the other Casey Kasem of Warlock Pinchers. You're listening to Preteen Porn Star on K-Rock.
This is Casey Kasem. What the fuck am I doing?
Make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough
Fuck it.
for anyone else to hear. Just sing,
God damn it.
sing a song.
Like, I'm sure glad he's not seeking my super duper sandwich.
That might sum up my whole existence, right? It's mind-blowing stuff from my childhood that it just is turned all upside down. And so like, I think as you could see from my list, like I come from a lot of different angles, as we all do, and like my loves are wide, I guess. That's what we've all learned today.
You've been a lot of fun to get to know and go on your journey with it. How can people get to know the kind of contemporary Andrew? You're doing a lot of stuff now that's different, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of events. I do art shows. I do experiential things. I don't know. I over by my table of weird merch over there. So I have a couple Warlock Pincher things. I have Old Denver, which is my Meow Wolf project, which going into Meow Wolf, like pitching this, going into Meow Wolf, I wanted to have Denver in there, because they were these Santa Fe kids, you know, so my pitch was we want to remake old signs from old Denver businesses no longer around. And so there's like 6 of them in Meow Wolf. So like people from Denver, grew up in Denver, might recognize these. I make some films. My movie John Benet's Tricycles over there. I'm also working on a new movie called To Have and to Hoard. It's a documentary about a hoarder in Boulder named Joel. And actually tomorrow, there's some flyers over there too. Tomorrow night at Mutiny, which is cool, Mutiny's moved to Inglewood, but I'm showing some kind of raw-ish footage from my Joel Hartling movie, and that's just a free thing. There's like some spoken things, some movie clips, it's like a Dead Elvis art show thing. So I guess just look me up and see what I'm doing, or follow Instagram, or go to my website, isaveeverything.com. I'm also a crazy collector.
Well, thank you very much for taking so much time to put this set list together. We now invite you all to kind of mix and mingle, have more drinks and food. DJ Julie Oubliette is going to play for us now, and thank you very much. We're back here next month. I don't know, Brandy or Michael. Do you want to stand up? Our next speaker is Brandy.
Yay!
Some of you might know her from Creative Mornings, but she has many different hats, and she's going to come talk with us about love and love songs. So come back next month. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. This has been so awesome. Thanks everyone involved with Analog Salon. Great.